Social enterprise has been around for many years. It's only recently, in these times of economic change, the social enterprise has been recognised as the business model, the one that can support social causes in an efficient and sustainable way. So what is social enterprise, and why would you use this business model rather than registering as a charity or setting up a traditional company? You might be surprised to learn that social enterprises are in essence no different from any other business that trades for a profit. However, they do have a community, ethical or environmental focus, and the profits that are made are not distributed to shareholders but are instead used to benefit the community. If you're a charity, on the other hand, the main source of your income comes from goodwill and funding bids. We're going to introduce you to 5 social enterprises and take a look at the different company structures. We'll find out why they chose to set up as a social enterprise, why they chose the structure they did, and what is it that made their venture so successful. When the Lise and Charlotte and Ben Hollins' parents' farm ran out, they needed to find a way of saving it from being sold to developers.
We started our social enterprise at Ford Hall Farm because basically we've been here for generations as tenant farmers and we were facing eviction. Moreover, it had been organic for over 65 years. We wanted to continue to farm here, and we also wanted to involve the community in the farm, to use it as a resource and to use it as an educational tool promoting sustainable farming and organic agriculture.
The Hollins Farm social enterprise was initially born out of necessity, and it is now flourishing both as a business and as a centre of education, with volunteers coming to experience working on the farm from all over the UK. Joy Simmons is a dance teacher who recognised the need to provide her students with the opportunity to perform in front of an audience.
The idea behind the social enterprise was so that I could put on a variety of shows, events, what have you, over the coming months and even years to raise money so that could go into a fund which would then allow people locally to come to me and say, well, I can't afford these dance lessons, or maybe someone would like to learn a musical instrument, drama, anything. And then I would have a little chat with them, and then I would give them the money to allow them to pursue that.
A really good demonstration of the power of setting up a social enterprise is when it has a direct and profound impact on a community. When Bishop's Froome in Herefordshire lost its post office and village shop, social enterprise empowered the local people to take matters into their own hands.
Back in January, our village shop and post office closed down, and it was a big blow to the community. A lot of people were already beginning to panic, and especially our elderly, where were they going to get their, just the necessities really. And so we thought we've got to sort of act quickly, and the need was there and the support was there.
Social enterprise doesn't just have to work at a local level, it can have a global impact too. That was the impetus behind the Big Green idea.
What I wanted to do is I wanted to try and get the message out there to as many people as possible that sustainable living is actually fun, and that it's healthy and that it's inexpensive, and very empowering and exciting as well. And I thought about how I could do this, and I decided the best way was to set up a social enterprise, and that the best vehicle, literally, to get this message out there to the general public would be a double-decker bus. So that was my dream.
Social enterprises often work together and share resources. Bridget has an office and stores the bus at The Fold, another social enterprise that was set up by husband and wife team Will Tooby and Jane Cox.
I'd been working on the nursery here for many years, and much as I enjoyed that, I really wanted to set up something that was truly aligned to my values and also those of Jane, my wife. We worked with a life coach and we looked at what really did it for us, and we decided we wanted to open a centre that linked together creativity and health and was a whole inspiration. We wanted to create a social enterprise, something that really worked with the community, within the community, to help create change, because we believe business as usual is not a real possibility. We have to change how we are as a society if mankind's going to be here in the future.
So, let's say you have a great idea and you've decided to start your own social enterprise. How do you get started? Social enterprise is an ethical concept and is not in itself a legal entity. Because of this, there are a number of different company formations you can choose when setting up, depending on your objectives.
We had no idea initially how to set up a social enterprise, but through talks with the local community, it seemed as though an Industrial and Provident Society was going to be the most appropriate organisation for ourselves. And we set that up through Cooperatives UK, went through all the legal backs and forths, and took us about 6 months, and eventually became incorporated as the Fordhall Community Land Initiative as an industrial and provident society. And that society worked as a legal structure for us because it enabled us to sell shares, which are completely non-profit making. We set the value at £50 each, and it's through the sale of those shares to the community that enabled us to raise the £800,000 that we needed to save the farm from development and place it into community ownership.
Charlotte and Ben chose to set up as a cooperative because it allowed the involvement of a large number of people. However, if you choose to work on your own and are making a profit that is being used to benefit the community, this is still a social enterprise.
I did look at becoming a registered charity, but I didn't really want to go down that route. I did look at a few other options, but decided that I would go solely on my own, so that the money that I would raise from this would go back directly into the local community.
In the current economic climate, charities are looking to become more self-reliant. One of the ways of doing this is to implement a social enterprise strategy to support your charity. As a charitable organisation, the Big Green Idea has done just this.
I started initially as a company limited by guarantee, and the Big Green Idea as a registered charity. And the thing is with charities these days is that you cannot rely on funding. I really do know that now. So I knew I had to find a way to make the business, the charity, work sustainably, and that meant I had to look at other ways other than applying for grants and accepting donations to do this. So that was the next big challenge, as it were. The big thing I have, my asset is the bus. And when I take it out to local authorities and schools, universities and things like that, what I need to do is I need to get people to pay for me to cover my costs at the very least. But my long-term plan is to get the companies, organisations who can afford to pay enough so that I more than cover my costs will do that, and then I'll be able to take it out to smaller communities occasionally without charging them.
An alternative to a company limited by guarantee is the new community interest company, recently set up by the government as a way of ensuring that the assets of the company remain in the community.
Community interest company is a new form of legal company, the first in 100 years, so quite unusual in those terms. The difference between a CIC and other forms of company is that it actually has its assets locked into the purpose of the company. So in its memorandum and articles of association, it will have specific clauses that identify that it is a community interest company, and it will use its assets in a particular way, and that its directors will operate in the interest of the company. And that's a legal requirement for the community interest company, and that means that it's monitored and regulated, and that it will produce an annual report which responds to a community interest statement that it makes when it first sets up. A company limited by guarantee, which is an ordinary limited company, can do the same sorts of things and operate in the same sort of way for a social purpose, but it doesn't have its assets legally locked into the company.
We decided to start up the shop as a community interest company with advice from some support, and we've started it up with 4 directors, my husband, myself and 2 business people in the village. And that was the quickest and the best way that we could find that would work.
We chose to set up a community interest company, a CIC, as we were advised this would be the best vehicle for the sort of thing we were wanting to do. And I certainly believe that CICs are a way forward in terms of we cannot keep on trying to grow profit out of this dear earth of ours. We've got to look at more sustainable ways forward, and a CIC I think is a really valuable model.
Community interest companies do what it says on the tin. They have a community of interest for which the company operates its activities or sells its products.
A community interest company can be set up in a number of different ways. So you'll have to consult with your social enterprise advisor, who will make you aware of all the options available. Deciding on how to form a social enterprise is one thing, but running it as a successful concern is quite another. Having a good team and the right support will be vital to your success and making sure that you meet your social objectives.
it's always important to get advice from outside organisations, and all those people, they've got all the kind of years of skills and experience that you necessarily don't have. When Ben and I started the Ford Hall Community Land Initiative and the fight to try and save the farm from development, we had absolutely no idea what we were doing, no idea about legal structures or community enterprises or social enterprise, and we've learnt that along the way. We've learnt a huge amount from different people who've just offered little snippets of advice or much larger chunks of advice to us that we would never be able to get to where we are without that. That advice is so invaluable, and sometimes you think you don't need it, but then someone comes and offers it anyway, and you think, actually, that was fantastic, that hit the nail on the head, and it really helps redirect where you're going in the future and helps refine everything, makes it much more efficient, and at the end of the day, hopefully much more successful.
Actually, things were very, very difficult, and I was wondering how I would go forward. And I had a phone call from Claire, and she said, look, do you need help? And I pretty much almost burst into tears and said, yes, please, I need help so much. So Claire put me in touch with Sue from Midwest Rural Enterprise, and I met her at a local coffee shop. We met initially for, well, just a cup of coffee, and she stayed for a couple of hours, and I quite genuinely, after that couple of hours, I felt that I might be able to be successful after all. I had started to doubt whether I could be successful just because it was all too much and too difficult. And the great thing really about having Sue's help is that she gave me strategies, and she will say again and again, are you charging for this? No, I'm not. Are you charging for this? No, I'm not. And eventually, because I knew she'd asked me if I was charging for something, I've started to ask people, and I'm now just starting to switch my mindset. And I would put that very much down to the meetings I've had.
Quite recently we had support from Midwest Rural Enterprise with regards to pulling together a business plan for the Ford Hall Community Land Initiative. It was something we hadn't had down in paper form. Lots of people knew the direction we were following, and there was lots of different strands to it, but we didn't have anything that actually pulled everything together and really crystallised our thoughts on paper, and also put all the all-important kind of figures to it, so you can really see what's working and what's not working. And we did that in partnership with Midwest Rural Enterprise, and it's been hugely successful and extremely useful for us working in the office, for our shareholders to know where we're going, and also for our board of directors to help strategically direct the organisation.
The whole CIC network is growing, and we've had support from local organisations, which has been invaluable. And it's great to get in touch with other CICs and see and feel the whole thing developing as it goes.
It was really good fun setting up this social enterprise, and having an advisor was absolutely fantastic. She was there at the end of the phone anytime I wanted to ask a question, and I would absolutely recommend it to anybody.
The thing that makes the Ford Hall Community Land Initiative so successful is that we've involved people, and every step of the process, at every point, we've tried to involve people in a huge number of different ways. It may have been through the selling of shares, which provide them with a permanent link to the farm and a permanent kind of involvement with its organisation. It may have been through volunteering, through people donating, offering a bit of time, or through them themselves spreading the word about the farm and what it was doing. And by doing that, we've been able to create a huge community around the farm of supporters. They're all involved in different ways and in ways that suit them.
Yeah, I think it's been a great success. We gave ourselves 3 years to sort of get ourselves up to speed, so to speak. And certainly visitor numbers are increasing, and we're getting great feedback from visitors who seem to find this a different space to come to, and they really enjoy the food and the fact that the food is all locally sourced and organic, and the ambience created in the cafe. It's a beautiful old barn, and then the designer makers can come and see and so on. And we have some lovely events. We're a shindig venue, and we have some fabulous events here. And we've got a volunteer coordinator, Gabby, and Gabby's building up the whole volunteering side. And it's great to see more volunteers coming on almost every week and helping us, who believe in the ethos of what we're doing and where we're coming from.
It's really benefiting the community, as we've got a lot of elderly people who sometimes don't see a soul all day long, and they might visit the shop 2 or 3 times a day.
You can imagine how pleased we were when it opened, and a grateful thanks to Wendy and all her friends who put so much into it. So both of us are over the moon over this little shop.
It is incredible, the amount of work and dedication that's gone into this. And I'm so delighted to see it so busy. So many people are using it. Wonderful.
Having a community shop here is fantastic. It's really the glue that holds the community together. We can get, our provisions to take home with us, and at the same time, have our conversations and things, and get to know that people are, sort of safe and well, and have our social contacts, especially for those who are working out in the fields, or off in the woods, or or living in isolated dwellings.
It's been successful because of all the teamwork that we have and the community supporting it in all sorts of ways. Anything you need, they seem to just come up trumps and bring it along, right from the smallest to the oldest, and it's just wonderful, really. We want to see it grow, obviously grow, and sort of listen to our customers here and our community and what they want. We hope to be able to provide.
Well, we held our first show back in April, which was an absolute runaway success. I don't think anybody realised quite how big it was going to be. We sold every seat in the theatre, we raised a lot of money, and this is 2 weeks later, everybody is still talking about it.
We've been given a wonderful opportunity by Joy to get up on the stage and put everything that we've learnt into practice. For a lot of us, it's the first time we've ever been on stage, and to perform in front of people was wonderful. And we're still having people coming up to us in the street, recognising us and saying you did a wonderful job, and we just can't wait until the next one.
And the effect on the girls has been absolutely fabulous, because they just cannot wait for the next show, and it's just wonderful, the confidence, and to actually think I've been on stage and I've performed in front of all these people. It's just been fabulous, and we can't wait for the next one.
As you can see, social enterprise is a great way to directly help communities and to fund projects in a sustainable way. If you've got an idea that you think could benefit your community and like to find out more about setting up a social enterprise, then contact your local social enterprise support team. They'll help you get the ball rolling.